Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on March 27th, 2021. If you'd like to get my game Decoding the Powerball, then please go to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Thank you and please subscribe. Okay, so the object of my game is for you to correctly eliminate groups of numbers. There are 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. So for me, I think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. So to help me do that, I'm going to turn to the 11 strategies of my game. So strategies 1 and 2, the game card color code, and the 50-50 picks. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize at the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 4, 9, 17, 27, and 38. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And now we're going to find out what colors they were. Okay, so the 4 was green, the 9 was purple, the 17 was orange, the 27 was blue, and the 38 was red. So I'm going to color these in. So again, the 4 was green, the 9 was purple, the 17 was orange, the 27 was blue, and the 38 was red. Okay, so now we're going to count how many colors I have. So I have all 5 colors. Again, red, orange, green, blue, and purple. So up here I'm going to make this 530 color code drawings I kept track of so far. And now a 5 color combination has now come up 21 times. Okay, so what I want you to focus on here is the 3 color combination. You can see that this has come up 270 times out of 530 drawings. So if you do some quick math, you're going to see that a 3 color combination comes up more than half the time. Okay, and to me that's huge because long term, if I just keep on picking a 3 color combination, I know statistically I'm going to be correct more than half the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of this game, all the colors on my game card, and I'm going to start from scratch. Okay, so my color code is right here. Here's the red numbers, the orange, green, blue, and whatever's left over is purple. So what I did is I took the 69 white ball numbers, I divided them by 5 colors, and that's 1 color for each of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, and that equals 13.8. So my goal is to get as close to as 13 or 14 numbers per color as possible, or a good representation of each color. Okay, so again, I'm going to start in with the red numbers. Now the red numbers are the last 3 drawings of numbers, and the reason why this is because this will give me a maximum of 15 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to start in with the 4, the 9, the 17, 27, and 38. The next line down is the 1, the 6, the 22, 42, and 61. And the last line is the 34, the 38, which is already taken, so I can't take it twice. The 42 is taken, the 61 is taken, and the 62. So again, I'm going to make these red. And now I'm going to count how many red numbers I have on my game card. So here I got 5, 2 are 7, 2 are 9, 1's 10, and 2 are 12. So up here I'm going to leave this alone at 12. Up here it tells me of how many of each color I have on the game card. Okay, so moving on to the orange area, I'm going to start in with the 5, then the 11, the 51, 56, and 61. And that 61's taken. So moving on. The next line down is the 17, which is taken. So the 18, the 37, 44, and 53. The next line down is the 11, which is taken. So the 31, the 50, 52, and 58. And the last line is the 21, the 40, 44, which is taken, 50, which is taken, and the 55. So again, I'm going to make these orange. And now I'm going to count how many orange numbers I have on my game card. So over here I got 2 and 4 are 6, 2 are 8, 2 are 10, 11, 12, and 3 are 15. So up here I'm going to make this 15. Okay, so now I move on to the green area, then the blue, and then whatever's left over is purple. But what I'm going to do is, just to speed things up a little bit, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like for March 27th, 2021. So again, there was 12 red numbers, 15 orange, turned out to be 14 green, 15 blue, and 13 purple numbers. So again, more than half the time, a 3-color combination comes up. So that means more than half the time, 2 colors are not coming up, and that's what I want to focus on here. Okay, so again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. And the strategy here is try to correctly guess what color group will not be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I do want to point out that all 5 colors do come up. It's come up 21 times out of 530 drawings. So it comes up, but it's very rare. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction on what color group will not be coming up. And to help me make a decision, I'm going to turn to the next strategy called the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. So again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers, which means there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. So I like to keep track of this and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so I kind of use these 50-50 picks as kind of like a roadmap to what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make this 571. And this is how many drawings I kept track of so far. And basically this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the game card to find out how many odd and even numbers have just come up. Okay, so I got even, odd, 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 even. So I got 3 odd numbers and 2 evens. So I'm going to highlight the majority, which is odds. And now I'm going to make this 302. So out of 571 drawings, 302 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers, and 269 have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so to help me give me a clue on what the majority will be, what I like to do is break things down into 5 again. Okay, so as you can see, out of this 5 drawings, the majority is even numbers, 3 drawings to 2. And as I go back, it's evens, odds, 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 evens, odds, odds. Okay, so I could go back all the way to October 7th, 2015, but I like to hover around the top, which is current, and I like to look at the last 20 drawings or so, and you can see that this is evens. Even, 2 evens to 2 odds. So the thing about my game here is that we're all going to look at this differently. So we're all going to come up with a different result. Okay, but for me, as I look at this, I'm going to say that I think more even numbers are going to come up than odd. Okay, so I'm just going to write that down on my game card just to remind myself what I picked. And again, I think more even numbers will come up than odd. Okay, so moving on to the next one. I have high and low, then I have left and right, and then I have this red and blue area. So this is my 4 50-50 picks. Okay, so the next one, high and low, you can see this is 288 to 283. And looking at the last 20 drawings, you can see it's, even again, too high, too low. It's been going back and forth a lot. Had this big run of low here. So the thing that I'm looking at here is that I don't see 4 blue, at least 3 blue numbers in a row. Well, here it is right here, but it hasn't been 3 in a while. So I'm going to say that this is going to be 3 in a row. So I'm going to say that more low numbers are going to come up than high. So I'm going to write that down as well. More to the low side than the high side. Okay, so here's the thing. When I go to eliminate numbers, I'm going to be looking on this high side here because I think there's only going to be a maximum of 2 numbers here. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next one, which is left and right. You can see that this is pretty close, 287 to 284 after all these drawings. And looking at the last 20, again, it's even. So looking at this, I decided that I'm going to go with more to the left than the right. So I'm going to write that down as well. And I just want to say that we're all going to look at this differently. Okay, so you may look at it and say, no, I think it's going to be more to the right side than the left. Okay, so moving on to the last one, this red and blue area. You can see that red has come up a lot more in the last 20 drawings. But I'm gonna go with the red. It looks like I probably should go with the blue, but my gut feeling is saying that I think more to the red is gonna come up. Okay, so and that's what it is. It's all a gut feeling. Okay, so I'm just gonna write this down as well. More to the red. Okay, so I got more evens, more to the low, more to the left, and more to the right. Okay, so now I'm going to make my prediction on what color group I don't think will be coming up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with no red numbers. Okay, so a big reason for me isn't really with the 50-50 picks. It's back at the color code here, okay, where a red number has come up in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drawings in a row. And I'm going to predict that it's going to look like this, where you see no red numbers. Okay, so I'm going to block out these red numbers off on my game card. Okay, so when I block out numbers like this means I'm not even going to consider these numbers when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of those red ones. So what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these red numbers will come up in the next drawing. So if I'm correct with my bet and none of these red numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, so basically what I did here is I took all 69 numbers and I divided it into 7 different groups. Okay, so this is group number 1. It holds the numbers 1 through 9. Of course, this is the only group with 9 numbers, where the other 6 have 10 for 69 numbers. Okay, so how you read this is these light squares, these are good for 5 drawings here. And again, I like to break things down into 5. Okay, so I'm going to update this. Over here are the numbers that just came up. Again, it was the 4, 9, 17, 27, and 38. And this 4 tells me that I hit 4 out of the 7 groups. Okay, so in other words, 3 of these groups did not have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so I'm going to update this, and the first thing I'm going to do is with this 4, I'm going to follow the plane until I find the 4. And now I'm going to make this square green. Now I'm making it green because the 4 is green. And again, the 4 is green because the color code said it was green. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to go with the 9 as a purple. And then you can see I have the rest done with the 17 and so on. Okay, so there's a couple ways that I like to look at this. Okay, and one is I like to predict a color that hasn't come up in a while. Okay, so what I mean by that is, again, I have 5 colors: red, orange, green, blue, purple. And as you can see, you only see green and purple here. Okay, so as I scroll down, here's a red. So I still haven't seen orange or blue yet. Okay, so here's the orange and the blue. So I'm thinking maybe an orange might be coming up here pretty soon. So what does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to look at the numbers of 1 through 9 on my game card, and I'm going to see if there's any orange numbers to them. Okay, so I have the 5, which is orange. So maybe that 5 might be coming up either this drawing or very soon. Okay, so you can see that 5 just entered the orange, so it's going to take at least 4 drawings to get out of orange unless it comes up. And then it'll go right back to red again. Okay, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. Alright, so let me go back to the individual numbers. And I'm going to look at the numbers of 10 through 19 to see if there's any colors that's stand out. And you can see that all 5 of them are right here: red, orange, green, blue, and purple. So when they're all right around here, that's really no big help to me. Okay, I'm looking for a color that hasn't come up in a while. Okay, so here you can see that no red numbers come up in a while. And finally it's down here. Okay, so maybe a red number might be coming up. So I'm going to look at the numbers of 20 through 29 and see if there's a red number there. You can see that there's no red numbers. So that's no help either. Okay, so looking at the 30s, I don't see any orange. And finally, here's an orange down here, which is not far enough for me. So I want something that's like hasn't come up in like 20 or 30 drawings. Okay, so again, this equals 5 drawings. Okay, so I don't see any orange. And here's an orange. So moving on. That was no big help. So here in the 50s, I don't see any blue. In fact, here's the blue, so that's no help. And in the 60s, I see no orange or blue. There's the orange and there's the blue. Again, no big help. So, alright, so that was no big help for this drawing, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reduce this down so you can see the whole card. So again, this strategy is that there's 7 different groups here, and there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. So again, the overall strategy is try to correctly guess what group will not have the winning Powerball number to it, and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so as I look at this, again, we're all going to look at this differently, but for me, I'm going to go with no 50 numbers. Okay, now the reason why is because, you know, the 50s got really hot through here, and it's a 50 number has not come up in the 1, 2, 3 drawings, and I'm going to say that it's going to go 4 drawings in a row without a 50 number. Okay, so that's my prediction. So I'm going to go back to the game card, and I'm going to eliminate the 50 numbers off of my game card. Okay, so going back here, the 50 through the 52, 54, 55, 56. Here's the 53, 58, 57, and 59. So those are all the 50 numbers that I have. So here's the thing. Now, if I made the correct pick so far, and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers still have to be left here on my game card as a highlighted number. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategies number 4 to 11. Picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 3 to group 11. Okay, so let me introduce you to this group 3. Now the reason why I call it group 3 is because I divided all the numbers into 3 different color groups. Okay, so I have red, blue, and orange. Now you can see in the last drawing, there's 2 hits in the red. And that was the 9 and the 27. And then there was 2 hits in the blue. The 38 and the 17. And there was 1 hit in the orange, and that was the 4. Okay, so if there's a hit, I color the background red for hot. And if there's ever a miss, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Now, if I could have correctly guessed on this drawing that no orange numbers were going to come up, I could have gotten rid of all these orange numbers off of my game card and gave myself a much better chance of winning some kind of prize in the Powerball lottery. Okay, so I have 5 of these option cards. Now, the reason why I have 5 is so I could have a majority. Okay, so what I'm looking for is a majority of zeros. And you can see that's only happened 1 time here. Well, 2. Sorry about that. 2 times it happened. It doesn't happen very much on this group 3. Okay? So let me take a break from this group 3 for a second and keep on moving through the groups. Okay, so the next group I have is this group 4. Okay, so again with the overview, you can see that there's, a blue mark doesn't come up very often. Okay, so the next one I have is this group 5. Now this is where these blue marks start coming up a little bit more. Okay, so with this group 5, this is where I started making some changes here. Here I keep track of how many blue marks there are. And you can see that there's 1, and then over here I want to see if a 0 fall to 0. Okay, so it hasn't happened in a little while, so I'm kind of thinking that a 1's going to be right here. Okay, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Let me keep on going to this group 6. Now the reason why I have so many groups like this is because I want as many different angles as possible. Okay, different views, different angles, and hopefully it will show me something. Okay, and what I mean by that, hopefully it will show me something that's just blatantly obvious that a blue mark is going to come up. Okay, so I'm moving on. I have group 7. Okay, so again with these groups, now that I'm getting up to group 6, group 7 here, I know that there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, and I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, and I've been working on group 8, but I don't have that ready yet, so I'm moving on to group 9. Now, with this perspective here, again, I know that there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, so I know that 4 of these color groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, and then I have group 10 and then group 11 to round it off. Okay, so group 11 is pretty good as far as my chances of getting this correct, of my guess making it getting it correct, are pretty good, because I have 11 of these color groups and there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So I know that 6 of these color groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so again, the odds are pretty good that when I pick where I think a 0 is going to be, my odds are good that I might get it correct. Okay, but on the other side of the spectrum, going back to group 3, this is very hard to pick. Okay, but the thing is, if I could get one of these correct, I can knock out 23 numbers. And on the other side of the spectrum, with group 11, if I get one of these correct, like let's say this pink, I'm only going to get 6 numbers correct. I'm only going to knock out 6 numbers. Okay, so this is the thing for me about all these groups and all these perspectives and all these angles, is that if I get something right on group 3, I'm going to knock out a bunch of numbers. And if I get something right on group 3, I'm going to knock out kind of like, you know, a small amount of numbers, but it's more like I shouldn't have many numbers left on my game card. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me go through. And what I like to do now is invite you to play along with me. Okay, so what I mean by that is at home you could draw out the game card. So basically, it's 4 big squares with 16 squares within each, and then there's 5 squares off here to the left. Okay, so you don't need to put in the colors or the numbers or anything like that. So as you're going through and you see a group of numbers that you want to X out, that's exactly what you do. You just X them out and you say, I don't think these numbers are going to come up. And then at the end, you could put in the numbers that are left and choose your numbers. Okay, so hopefully that helps. So that's how you could do things. And now I'm going to go to this group 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll down to all the information I have, and then I'm going to scroll back up, and now it's up to you to make a decision on whether you think a 0 is going to be in one of these color groups. Okay, so I just want to say that I don't pick from group 3 or group 4 very often. You know, it's really got to be, you know, something blatantly obvious for me. Okay, so at home you may be thinking, okay, Tom, what am I looking for here? You know, I know you said a 0. I'm looking for a 0. Okay, so what I like to do is I notice that a couple of things that kind of give me an edge. Okay, a perceived edge. All right, and one is a 1 comes up a lot. Okay, maybe not on this group 3 or group 4, but when it comes to group 5, you can see that a 1 comes up a lot, and then group 6, group 7, there's even more. Okay, so for this one here, again, a 1 comes up a lot. So if a 0's here, then I'll be putting a 1 right here, just like this. Another thing I look for is a long streak. Now here's a streak of 58, and this was very, very odd. Usually it doesn't go this long, but it did. So anything could happen, right? Anything could happen in the lottery. We're just trying to correctly guess what's going to happen. All right, so moving on. Option card number 2, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, work my way back up. So another thing I look for is a 0 that follows a 0. Now this 15, this is considered a pretty long run, but I'm not going to take it. Okay, so for you at home, what I like to do is tell you that if you're going to pick at this red here, then pause the video and then X out all these red numbers off your game card. Okay, so moving on. Again, I look for a 1 and I look for a 0 that follows a 0. So this just happened, so it's like I don't think it's going to happen again so soon, but it could. So I'm going to leave it alone. And here's an opportunity for a 1. You can see a 1 hasn't come up here yet, like here. So again, if you want to go with this orange, then pause the video. Okay, so here it is again with a 1. Just like over here. And I don't like this one either, so I'm going to leave this one alone. And the last one I have is this group number 5. And again, the things that I look for is a long run, a 1, or a 0 that follows a 0. And there's nothing here, so I'm going to leave this one alone as well. So I'm not going to pick anything from this group 3. And I'm going to move on to group 4. Okay, so here's the overview of things. Okay, so you see how this is a 2 on the green? So let me go all the way to number 5. Work my way back. I'm just looking at the green. So here's 1, and here's 2 for the 2. Okay, so what I'm looking for is a blue mark, and I'm kind of looking at this orange area. Certainly the red, blue, and orange. And again, what I'm looking for is a streak, long streak, a 1 or a 0 that follows a 0. I don't really like this one, so I'm moving on. Again, here's a pretty good long streak. I'm looking over here at this red. I don't like it. I'm going to move on. Option card number 3. Again, I have a pretty good long run here. Again, I like to see a 1, but I just saw 1, so I don't like this one either. So I'm moving on. Now, if I do happen to pick one here in this group 4 or group 3, I'm definitely only going to pick one, and I'm not going to go for like 2 or 3 of them, okay? So looking at this, again, I really don't like it. So I'm moving on. Now, I did say, I thought maybe orange. But for some reason, I don't like it, so I'm going to leave this one alone. So I'm not going to pick from this group 4 either. So I'm moving on to group 5. So why I keep this around 3 and 4, even though I don't pick out from it very much, if I see something that I feel really confident about, it's going to knock out a bunch of numbers for me. So that's why I keep it around. Okay, so moving on to number 5. Now here, this is where the overview starts to come in a little bit more because there's more blue marks. Okay, so you can see with this purple, huge streak of hits. So I like to keep my eye on the red, orange, and purple. So with this option card number 1, now I just want to point out this blue mark here. This is what I do to, when I pick it, I mark it, alright? So this is for last drawing. Last drawing, I picked this green, and you can see that one of the green numbers came up, and it was the 4. So I got that one wrong. Okay, so for this drawing, I'm looking at this saying, wow, there's a bunch of zeros over here. I think that this is going to be a 1, and in order for this to be a 1, it has to be on the red mark here. Okay, so I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to get rid of all these red numbers. That's the 1, 3, 11, 25, 65, 33, 35. So I'll get rid of the 3, 11, 25, 65, 33, 35. And hopefully those numbers do not come up. And then I got the 15, 23, 21, 29, 45, 61, 63. So I'll get rid of the 15, 23, 21, 29, 45, 63. Okay, so that just knocked out a bunch of numbers for me. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 2. Again, I went with this red in the last drawing. You can see I got that one wrong as well. Hopefully I'll do better this drawing. And looking at this, again, I see a bunch of zeros over here. This blue one looks pretty good, but I don't like all of this down here. So I'm going to leave this one alone. Moving on to number 3. Okay, so one thing that I look for here in this group 5 and above is I look for 3 zeros or more. Okay, so you can see that in this column, 3 zeros, 3 zeros, 3 zeros, 3 zeros, and then here in this purple, no 3 zeros yet. Okay, so maybe it's due to happen, so I'm going to pick this one. Now, if this one has a 0 to it on this drawing, I'm probably going to pick it the next drawing as well. Okay, so it's the 35, 41, 42, 44, 49, 51, 52, 58, 68. Okay, and then on this side it's the 40, 47, 55, 56, 64. So I'll get rid of the 40, 47, 64. And again, hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, so moving on. Number 4. You know, I like this purple. But I'm going to leave this one alone. You know, it all comes down to a gut feeling, and I just don't have a good gut feeling about that. So I'm going to leave it alone. Move on to number 5. This was last drawing. You see I got that one wrong. Kind of like this green. And I'm going to go for this green one. So I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to get rid of the 6, 13, 16, 23, 32. So I'll get rid of those 4 numbers. And then I'll get rid of the 40, 45, 69, 53, 63. So I'll get rid of the 69. And then I get rid of the 36, 43, 52, 57. So I'll get rid of the 36, 43. And again, hopefully those numbers do not come up. Okay, so again, if I made the correct pick so far and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be left here on my game card as a highlighted number. Okay, so I'm moving on. going to move my game card up. Moving on to number 7. I'm sorry, number 6. Group 6. Again, I'm going to go to the overview. Kind of like this red over here and the blue. Let's check it out. Okay, so you can see that this is last pick, last drawing, and I got that one correct. And I'm actually going to go for this one again. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 1, 18, 25, 65. So I'll get rid of the 18. And then I'm going to get rid of the 5, 15, 22. So I'll get rid of the 5 and the 15. And then I get rid of the 39, 45, 55, 41, 52. So I'll get rid of that 39. Okay, so again, hopefully I made the correct picks. So moving on. Option card number 2. Okay, so I looked at this one and don't really like it. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Option card number 3. Okay, so looking at this one, I like the green. You can see there's never been 3 zeros in a row yet. So I'm going to go with the green. And I'll get rid of the 2, 10, 11, 12, 7, 14, 22, 32. So I'll get rid of the 2, 10, 12, 7. 7, 14. And then I have the 39, 47, 58, 68. And those are all gone. Okay, so again, I'm getting down there. So moving on, option card number 4. I decided to go with blue. So you can see that 3 zeros hasn't come up in the blue area yet. So I'm going to go for that. Okay, so it's the 1, 10, 18, 28. So I'll get rid of the 28. Hopefully that number does not come up. And now I'm going to get rid of the 39, 69, 64, 36, 42, 49. I think the only one left is that 49. Okay, so moving on. Option card number 5. I'm going to go with this red. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to get rid of the 2, 10, 20, 8, 6, 8, 66, 22. So I'll get rid of the 8, 20, 66. then it's the 4856. And I'll get rid of that 48. Okay, so I'm getting down there. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 numbers left. Okay, so the reason why I believe in this game so much is because one time, out of all the times that I played this, I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers, and the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed within those 10 numbers. Okay, so that day I only got 2 numbers correct. But I looked at it and said, okay, the game did what I wanted it to do. It gave me a much better chance at winning a really good prize with the Powerball lottery. Okay, so now that I'm down to 9 numbers, I really want to follow my 50-50 picks here. Okay? Now, the reason why is because I could be correct. All right? So, there's been many times where I got all 4 of these correct, and I said, oh... At the very end, I was like, well, there's more to the right than the left, and I'll just let that go. And, that's the thing. So, again, I want to stick to my 50-50 picks because I could be correct. All right, so moving on. I finished up with Group 6, and now I'm moving on to Group 7. I'm going to go to the overview. Certainly the blue and the green and brown, certainly maybe this gray as well. Okay, so here with option card number 1, certainly the one that well, I like this gray. But there's no numbers left, so I can't use it. Okay, so moving on. Kind of like this blue with the streak of 8. Okay, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to move on. Okay, so looking at this, I really don't see anything, so moving on. Option card number 4. Okay, so you can see that I got this one correct in the last drawing, so it's always nice to get something correct. Alright, so moving on. Option card number 5. Don't really like it, so I'm going to leave this one alone as well. And now I'm off to Group 9. Okay, so we'll go to the overview. Certainly the thing that sticks out to me is the purple and the gray. So this was last drawing. You can see I got that one correct. Okay, I really don't like anything, so I'm going to leave this one alone. And I'm going to move on to option card number 2. Okay, so you can see I got this green one correct in the last drawing, so I'll like that as well. Okay, so option card number 3. I decided to go with no turquoise over here, so I'm going to mark this one. And I'm going to get rid of the 4, 5, 28, 29, 36, 37, 61. So I'll get rid of the 37. Hopefully that will not come up. Okay, so moving on. This purple was last drawing. You can see I got that one wrong. Okay, so I'm going to go with this purple again. It's the 1, 2, 5, 6, 33, 34, 37, 38. You can see that they're all gone. Okay, so last one here for group 9. Don't really see anything. I do kind of like this blue one over here. Oh, the reason why I didn't take it is because none of these numbers are left. Okay, so that's it for group 9. So moving on to group 10. Here's the overview. Not a big help, but I like to look at this and say I think this is going to be a red mark. So let's go check this out. So if there's a purple, if this is going to be a red mark coming up here. I got the 12, 19, 67, 30. I got the 19, 67, 30. Okay, so this yellow was last drawing. So you see I got that one wrong, but I'm going to go with this one again. I don't think there's any numbers left, though. There's not. Okay, so moving on. Okay, I really don't see anything here. Maybe a hit over here. I don't know. Okay, moving on. I don't see anything. Option card number 3. Here you can see I got this turquoise correct. Okay, so here I'm actually going to take 2 of them. I'm going to go with purple, and I'm going to go with turquoise. So 16, 24, 32. And then 7, 13, 31 on the turquoise. Okay, so now I'm down to 6 numbers here. So I'm going to keep on going. Option card number 4. I really don't see much, so I'm going to leave this one alone. Option card number 5. Still, I really don't see much. So I'm moving on to my last group, Group 11. Go to the overview. Again, at this stage, the overview just doesn't do much. Okay, so this option card number 1. Maybe lots of purple hits. I don't know, I don't like it. Moving on. Again, no big help. Moving on. No big help here either. Again, no big help. You see I got that one correct in the last drawing. Again, not a big help. Okay, so as I go back to my game card here, I went through all my options. I'm down to 6 numbers. I need to get down to 5. And what I decided to do was go back to the individual numbers. And the one thing that I'm looking for are these side numbers here, okay? So you can see a 5. Before this streak here, a 5 hasn't come up in a long time. Then finally it comes up, then it comes up again, comes up again. So I think that a 5 is going to come up. So I wanted to represent 5 of these different color groups. So what that means is that I can't have two 60 numbers. And I decided to get rid of the 67. Okay, so the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 19, 26, 30, 46, and 60. Okay, so you can see that they're more even numbers than odd. More to the low side than the high. This 19 kind of shares the square with the 67, so you can see it's on the low side. More to the left. 1, 2, 3, and more to that red. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think Sherlock Holmes said it the best when he said it's a matter of deduction. So if these blocked out numbers don't come up, then these 5 highlighted numbers have to come up. So now it comes down to, what are the odds that I made all the correct picks? Well, let me go over the official odds. Okay, so the official odds to get the grand prize, all 5 white ball numbers and a red ball, the odds are 1 in 292 million that you'll get it correct. My goal is to get all 5 white ball numbers correct. What I mean by that is that the game is geared up for the white balls. I love to win the grand prize, of course. Okay, now just to get the white balls correct, the odds are 1 in 11,688,000. Okay, so in other words, you can make nearly 12 million five-number combinations out of 69 numbers. Okay, so I don't want to give any kind of illusions that this is going to be easy to win. Okay, so another great prize to win would be 4 white ball numbers and a red ball. That pays 50,000 plus the power play if you play it. And you can see that the odds are just about 1 in a million. Okay, so you can see that the odds are really steep. So I wanted to give myself some perspective. And that is, if I spend $3 per drawing, there's 2 drawings per week. That means I will gamble and most likely lose, because the odds are so steep, $312 per year playing my game Decoding the Powerball. Okay, so some people in the past have asked me, hey, if you think you're going to lose $300, then why do you even play at all? And I think we can all agree, in order to win, you need to play. And for me, I'd just rather pick my own destiny than take an easy pick or a quick pick. Okay, so moving on, I do have something for the Powerball number itself. Now, there's 26 red ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. So over here in this column, I just divided the numbers in 2. So if you see a blue number, that's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that's high, 14 to 26. Over here in this column, I divided the numbers into odds and evens. So if you see a red number, that's odds. If you see a blue number, that's evens. Now this green mark tells me that the Powerball repeated. So you can see the 18 came up and then it repeated. Okay, so moving on, in closing. Oh, I'm sorry, I never picked my number here. Okay, so looking at this, I'm going to say that this stays to the blue, which means I think the Powerball number will be a low number. And over here, I think it will be red. So I think the Powerball number will be a low odd number. And for me, I'm going to go with the number 9. Okay, so again, in closing, or let me go to my Sherlock Holmes thing. So how I like to say this is that my best guess is that the winning Powerball numbers will be the 19, 26, 30, 46, 60, and the Powerball number 9. Okay, so we'll see what happens. So again, in closing, I'd just like to thank you for watching my my video here. And again, if you'd like to support me so I can keep on making these videos, then please help me through my Patreon page at patreon.com/decoding the Powerball. And if you'd like to give me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, and as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.